The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the Players Championship. Picks, preview, one and done, bets, all that fun stuff. I yell players because if you talk to the tournament organizers or see any media about the Players Championship, all caps, players taking a page from Trump, yelling at you at all times.
This should be a great week. And you woke up, or some sites sort of had players' odds boards in advance like other majors. Most don't, but some did. I don't know, maybe a bad comparison. It's like the Daytona 500, man. And I'm not even a NASCAR guy, but everybody can pay this week. Because there's carnage to be had here. There's historical carnage. And, guys are going to get blown up.
It happens.
And it's always a fun week, and that's why the board starts at 14-1. I mean, that's sort of where it is. And I don't know, even thinking about it on the weekend, before really staring at numbers, I don't have a clue.
Yeah, if you're
I don't want to say I don't have a clue.
Oh, if you're overseas this week, you get top 10 on the each way. On Bet365, you get top 6 on the each way. So that's always fun. Before we get into everything, we'll recap Quail Hollow from last week. Jason Day wins. The Ander curse does not come through. He gets a win for the first time in 4 years. Then people are all like, oh, the curse is broken. Okay, this happens from time to time.
I need to clarify that because people were saying the curse is broken and they were listing some things that he had done. He gets credit for the Eagles.
Apparently he gets credit for the Eagles now, but he proclaimed their season dead when Carson Wentz went down. It propelled them to the Super Bowl
win. The Eagles
win.
were one of the 9 teams he proclaimed was going to win it all, right?
The only team that he didn't pick during the playoffs to win the Super Bowl was New England. That was it.
Yeah, I get he was really happy the Eagles won the head-to-head game that was the Super Bowl, but okay, I'm not really wanting to give him... I'll give credit where it's due. Jason Day, great pick. Like I joked on Twitter, I knew it was a big weekend for Tim. The second McDonald's was tweeting at him or replying to him.
That's true, because he did... I put it out. I went out on Friday night. I was like, I'm definitely getting food after the bar. Where should I go? And what would be your pick for me? I'm leaving the bar. I'm on Bloor Street, so I have everything within 5 minutes of me.
I don't know.
What do I go get? If it was your recommendation to me, not knowing me personally or anything like that, what would you want me to get? If it was you, what would you get?
It depends what kind of mood I'm in.
You're drunk at 2 a.m.
Probably pizza. Because even the crappy generic slice can hit the spot. Even though I like good pizza, sometimes you need
listen. Once it's 2 a.m. And you're 14 deep, quality's not really the highest option.
And only the generics wheels would still be open.
Yeah, what's still open? Yeah. So, but Tim recommended that not only do I get McDonald's, which I did end up getting, by the way, because I just Uber Eats.
That's fair.
I got some Uber Eats to meet me at home. He said get a fillet of fish.
Which is weird because I'm a big Dukes guy. But that's by far last place on the Dukes list.
Yeah. And then McDonald's, that's when they tweeted back at him, being like, you have great taste, Tim. Then he was bragging that McDonald's told him he had great taste.
But I loved it.
It was pretty good.
I loved it. I took enjoyment in McDonald's sort of pumping his tires, but all they were doing was agreeing with his shitty compliment.
Yes. Okay. He said McDonald's was good, and then they agreed with me. He's like, well, the largest restaurant chain in the world says I have great taste. All right, man. So he hit a winner, first time in 4 years. First time in 4 years, he did not pick the Kentucky Derby winner, though.
Okay, so what else is he getting credit for people to be saying the curse is over?
I have no idea. We have a running list of all the, not just predictions he's made, but curses. Because he generally picks massive favorites, and then they don't win. Okay. And then it's okay, they've been cursed.
Because
so from the beginning of the year, since we did the Custy Awards last December, we've been keeping a running list. So far, he's got 2 things right. And one was the Super Bowl win, but that's also discredited because he touched Stephen Gostkowski at media night, and the guy couldn't make an extra point anymore. So he had a direct hand in that one. So he has this one Jason Day pick, and that's it. Like when he said that Virginia was going to win the NCAA championship out first round.
Yeah. Well, I hope his hot run continues because we share the same Stanley Cup winner.
Well, he's now on pick like 8 for the Stanley
Oh,
Cup.
I didn't know that. But the start of the playoffs, the team he picked was the team I have a future on, which is the Jets, and they're still, of this recording,
They're still in it?
They're still in it, and hopefully can get into the Final Four.
So, congratulations to Tim, his NHL Stanley Cup winner from like when he made the pick at the beginning of the year, didn't make the playoffs. So, that's fun. And the Mets are going through a real tough stretch here. So are the San Francisco Giants. It's been a bad baseball season so far, and he was bragging after 2 weeks that the Mets were in first place. And since he made that brag to us, I think they're in third place now. But he told me on the weekend they're still ahead of the Nationals, and that's all that counts.
The Darnold hype trend's also moving pretty hard.
It is. They're now
like people like going gaga over like minicamp screen passes.
All right. So I do want to let everyone know that we are going to get to the players after we do the recap here initially, but give the episode a like. Goes a long way to keep it free. Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast wherever you can download podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe. Actually, you don't even need to do that. Just subscribe to it and download it. You don't even need to listen to it. Just give me the number and then we're good to go. Again, helps keep the show free. And Fantasy National this week. Price is going up next week to $10 for a weekly membership. It's $7 right now. So if you become a member this week, you get locked into that $7 price as long as you maintain your weekly subscription. So your weekly membership. So you can get yourself locked into that $7 price right now because it's going up because the demand is off the charts. People are winning money every single week. They want access to the tools. There's a new tool out there now, the mixed condition model that goes in conjunction with the custom model that you can do for your stat rankings. And you can take into consideration things like putting on bent grass or putting on Bermuda grass, hitting fairways that are tough to hit. You can put that all in a condition and look over any date range you want. So it's a brand new feature for members of FantasyNational.com. So go do it now. Quail Hollow. Jason Day is the winner, like we mentioned. Nick Watney came through. I will say it's the most successful betting week I've had all season without hitting a winner. That's always fun. Got to share Keith Mitchell's first round leader as part of the T5. Everyone was on the outright, then he gagged it on 18, but then John Peterson went back-to-back eagle, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway, so that was kind of nice to see. But the each way comes through on that with a bit of a split, but still pays for itself. 2 of 3 in head-to-heads, and the Bryson top 5, that big putt on 18, actually was a very profitable putt for anyone that was in the top 5 Bryson market because he didn't have to split it with anyone. It was a solo top 5 as he came T4. He didn't even come T4. He came 4th by himself. And then, if people aren't like following me on Twitter, he gave out 2 fire winning bets. I gave out 1 head-to-head parlay, 4-person on Saturday, hit it 28-1. And then Nick Watney live with the each way, 50-1 to win the tournament. Came second, got the each way on it. Boom! More money in the account. It's a good week.
And that Watney, 55-footer on 18, made a lot of DraftKings memories.
Yeah, it won someone the $4. Member of FantasyGolfInsider.com won this week. Kenny Kim was in the mix, too, to the very end. I think he ended up coming 7th in the giant $4, but he was in first place with like 4 holes to go. And then Casey bogeyed. That was kind of the end of him. Unfortunately, we love Kenny here.
Incredible, yeah. Also, Jason Day, like, a lot of bunkers. Like
not good off the tee or with his approach game. He made his bones this week around the green and on the greens. Yeah. Every time he got within 10 feet, you're like, oh, this is going in. Yeah. Great.
Even those, 11, 12-foot par putts, dropping. Second win of the year. No WGC, no major. But Torrey Pines, Quail Hollow, those are 2... Once you look past those sort of WGCs and majors, and you're just sort of looking at normal tour stops, you're on the short list of premier events and
tough courses.
You always like to joke that Day is only appreciated the week after he wins and the week of majors. And I guess this is almost a double whammy because it's not a major, but it's a half star. How people consider it. Some players, the cash money players consider it a major.
U.S. Open actually pays more this year.
Well, I guess that's part of their... I don't think it'll take the players long then.
No, because usually they pride themselves. We have the strongest field in golf. We pay the most in golf. Yeah. Now they don't pay the most. They pay the same as the Masters now. And the Masters players actually get paid more because there are fewer players in the field.
And Day was sort of all alone. You had Rory sort of standing alone at the top and Ricky and JT. And Day was sort of the only one outside of those 3 guys in that like high teens range. The book sort of put him in his own range. Again,
he nailed it.
And nailed it.
The Fantasy National Simulator, the event simulator, has Jason Day twice been the number one most likely to win a tournament, and both times he has won said tournament. So he's Mr. Simulator. It's only picked 3 right all year, 2 of them in Jason Day.
And there were no red flags this week, which is kind of rare, right? Usually there's something.
For what?
Like with like a backspat, like just a report of something. You know, he's got to miss the pro-am or something mid-tournament.
He got kind of fortunate for 2 reasons. Because Tim started bragging that he picked the winner when Day was up, and then Day immediately bogeyed, then went into the water on the next hole and fell into a tie with Aaron Wise. And on 17, the broadcast made it seem like Day hit this great shot, the one that hit the pin on the par 3. That was way over the green if it didn't hit the pin. And that could have swung the entire thing. And Watney going into the water on the easiest hole on the course. If he just birdies that hole instead of bogeying it, like he should have birdied it, like everyone should have, he's in the playoff. So a lot of things went right for Jason Day coming down the stretch, although it didn't seem like it did. Aaron Wise looked great, by the way. Some of the up and downs he made and like didn't get rattled on like an 11-foot par putt, just boom, in, like hitting big swingers too. It was a really impressive performance for a guy that I know a lot of people have been backing all year. I know Ulrich had a really big outright on him. I think he hit the each way, which still paid really nicely. But he's one of these guys that just like, he comes from such like he's almost from like the Jamie Lovemark school of guys that were good in college and you expect them to be really good and they didn't quite break through. They've had these up and down performances, but it's nice to see that he's coming around.
Yeah. Uline popped for 4 hours.
That was about it. Yeah. He's not even in the field this week. Has no status on tour.
Shame.
So let's get into the Players' Championship. TPC Sawgrass, under 7,200 yards. I think people forget that it went under not a massive renovation last year, but one that was pretty substantial because they changed number 12 to a drivable like risk-reward par 4, which everyone just kind of birdies. It's the 4th easiest hole on the course last year. But it played super tough. It was the 5th most difficult course in the rotation last year. That was behind only like Quail Hollow was the most difficult, I think. The British Open and Augusta, and there was like something else mixed in between, and then it was TPC Sawgrass. Now it's generally tough, but not that hard. And we saw some outrageous number. Like, remember Rahm was in it, and then Rahm all of a sudden shot like 85 in the 3rd round, and he was done.
There are, it can happen anywhere. You posted the chart with the historical water balls. Like I said, this is carnage. This is carnage. This is the type of stuff where 6 for 6 pays.
Oh, big time.
Like, yeah, no, like it, like, yeah.
For the record, since I picked Martin Keimer to win this tournament, the first year that we were working at Fantasy together, big win. I don't think I've had a single player inside the top 10 since. This has been the biggest taker tournament for me, biggest loser every year for me. Like, I have no grasp of this tournament. I don't know what's going on.
Kind of run here. Hit Kuchar here many moons ago at a big number. Sergio always flirted. The year that Ricky's, girlfriend and mom went to the airport and he won. That was what, versus Sergio and Kisner.
Yeah, that was the first real hey, who the hell is Kevin Kisner?
Yeah.
Why is he in the playoff?
Was the Keimer one the year after?
The Keimer one was the year before. Oh, so that's the one where he hit that giant putt on 17 for par to beat Furyk.
Yeah. I had Jimmy that day. Oh my God. What a ridiculous putt.
So there's a lot of water around the course. There are 25 water hazards. It's a Pete Dye track, so it's going to mess with you when you're on the tee or taking your approach shots. It's like 17. 17 shouldn't be a hard hole unless there's a lot of wind. It's a pretty short iron shot into a green that's fairly sizable.
I don't know. It's that it's that evergreen debate of 17. It's not, shouldn't be a hard hole. Every math metric would show these guys can hit that green at a ridiculous clip.
No, if it's windy, I get it. But it's the whole Pete Dye aesthetic of when you stand on the tee box, you're like, ooh, no.
Yeah. And it's
this could go really wrong.
It's a stadium setup. Always plays into it.
Sneaky thing that people never talk about, number 18 is the hardest hole on tour.
It's a hard driving hole.
Well, that's the whole thing, because the water goes from tee to green all the way down the left-hand side. But if you go through the fairway, you're screwed. Remember Poulter?
But going through the fairway is very common because
people don't want to go into the water. Yeah, it's the bailout,
but it also sort of brings bogey into play, while the water brings double.
Well, it brings. I mean, Poulter actually had a really nice shot there on 18 last year. After being like the woods after driving it through the fairway. But yeah, if you don't deal with the water on the tee and you end up hitting it through the fairway, you either kind of have to eat your medicine, take the bogey unless you make a ridiculous shot. But if you get too aggressive with your approach on 18, you could be in the water again. Now you have to bring like triple into play.
Yeah.
So it's not good. And we saw a lot of ejections here last year, guys that were around. But I do want to read out
Sort of the carnage.
the leaderboard from last year. And you tell me what some of these guys have in common. Siwoo won. Ian Poulter, Louis, tied for second. Cabrera Bello, who made that albatross on 16. That's how he ended up vaulting up the
There is,
leaderboard.
off the top.
One sec. Cabrera Bello, Lucas Glover, Kyle Stanley, Adam Scott, Brennan Steele, Molinari, Griot, Noren, Chris Kirk. What do most of those guys have in common?
They're just kind of plotters.
They suck at putting. Molinari, Steele, Glover, Kyle Stanley. Kim.
Louis.
Louis fine. Louis and Poulter are good putters.
When they're hot.
Sure.
Well,
But Cabrera Bello is like real streaky. Generally speaking, he's not a great putter.
Okay.
And Molinari's one of the worst. Noren's a good putter.
I until you kind of got to Scott and Steele, you also don't really see anyone that drives the ball
a ton.
Or that's sort of not their A skill set.
Now, they're guys that gain strokes off the tee.
Because they're consistent and they're accurate.
Ball strikers.
But they're not.
Shorter ball strikers really played themselves out last year. I think that's interesting to look at going in this year. And it's tough because maybe they've changed the course a little bit to make conditions a bit easier. Because it was a redesign. People were getting used to it. So I don't even know.
And just to quickly clarify, because we went through that run where, it's been Fowler, Keimer, Day, Kim? Those are our last four? Am I missing somebody?
Kim, Day, Fowler,
Keimer.
I believe that's it.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2006, Day, Ricky, Keimer, Tiger. Last 5 years.
And that was, we're going to get there, but that was the year Tiger won everything but a major. Player of the year, like 6 or 7.
5 wins,
yeah,
no majors.
Yeah, we'll get there. Everyone wants to bet with 14-1 to win the Masters. Let's go. The books also are sort of putting it out there. I'm kind of surprised that number exists.
We'll get to him.
But the books have kind of put it out there, as I alluded to off the very top. Like, they don't have a clue.
And no one has a clue.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
This is the toughest tournament to cap.
And like I said, I'm not even like a NASCAR guy, but I worked like behind the scenes and doing shows that had to do with gambling. So I've seen enough NASCAR betting boards to know, like, this is like the Daytona 500. Like NASCAR, the favorite's like usually 3-1. It's like stupid like that. Daytona 500, the favorite's like 14-1. And they don't know what's going to happen. And it's carnage. And that is sort of even though I'm not even a big NASCAR guy, that's like how I compare this odds board. And it's weird because there's tons of course history here. Like the Masters.
Yeah, since 1983.
These guys,
TPC Sawgrass has hosted this event.
Everyone that you would consider to bet here has played this course and
probably played it well at some point too.
And probably played it before they were PGA Tour pros.
Yeah, at the junior. Well, the junior didn't come around until 2007. I have a link in my column this week on DK Playbook of all, and I tweeted them out of the leaderboards of every year since this tournament existed.
My point being is, the Masters, there's so much put into course history and familiarity. And I don't know, like, how much you could take from last year's leaderboard by that. But there is the equal amount of familiarity to this course. And I would argue more in some cases because these lesser players have all played it.
And there's a lot of guys that just live around here, too.
Yeah, Jacksonville, it's not quite the hotbed Orlando is.
You know who lives there? Russell Knox.
Well, there's a few. And
Jonas Blixt.
The big one that lives here is hosting a party.
Oh.
Captain Furyk. We're going to get one of those early week, like, 40 guys in the Furyk living room pictures, like USA Golf. Anyone who's even considered contendable to make that Ryder Cup team, I assume is they're having dinner at the Furyk house this week as a big party.
I wouldn't worry too much about like what guys did last year either. Like Jason Day won, he had missed the cut the year before. Ricky won, he was T77 at MDF the year before. Keimer's made the cut every year he's played here, so that's interesting.
I know you're.
I'll do spoiler alert. I'm betting Martin Keimer.
What's the number?
200-1.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty strong.
He's 125 on Bodog, 200 on 365, and like 210 on other books. Just milking you on Bovada.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big number for.
He played well last week until the weekend. Coming off the injury, maybe he's starting to feel it a little bit. I worry that he gained strokes around the green last week, which I thought was really surprising because he sucks around the green. And this is a place where, well, if you talk about key stats, I really changed up from what I did. I really overthought it the past few years instead of being like, listen, I want to go with these guys that are good off the tee, don't necessarily hit it a mile, but are consistent, keep it in the fairway. Because you start venturing off the fairway here, you're screwed. Like, there's bunkers everywhere, there's water everywhere, the rough isn't super easy. Like, you want to put yourself into a position where you can hit some greens in regulation, because it's not a long course.
No.
It's like Heritage in a lot of ways. I don't think that's that's probably the most direct corollary that you can have. There's other courses that are like it, though. Like East Lake's kind of this way, where you can see the shorter hitters play well as long as the irons are hoppy. You need a combination across the board of good driving, good irons, and these are some of the smallest greens on tour. So you're going to miss greens. You're not going to hit 100% of greens in regulation. So if you have no short game, if you suck with touch around the green, like, you're not going to play very well. You're going to make a lot of bogeys.
Well, that's a problem for someone I like. But on to that point, the reason a lot of these big numbers come into play that you mentioned, the bunkers and so many of the greens surrounded by water, when you get yourself into a bunker, if you choose to attack the green, it brings a lot of trouble into play. And a lot of the times they feel like whether it's in the bunker or they're off the path, they're off the fairway, attacking greens bring a lot of risk into play. Whereas even when you're laying up and you're trying to save par with that 60-yard wedge, but like you said, big numbers everywhere. And that is sort of why that prototype player you're speaking of can succeed here.
It's why someone like Francesco Molinari has played so well here over the years.
Are you doing the show with Leone this week?
I am doing the show with Leone. I believe topic number 1 is going to be Francesco Molinari, who's going to be right now, where we discuss this on a Monday afternoon.
He's pretty high on the DK price
I would
right?
bet, oh yeah, because they baked in course history, but I would wager he's in the top 3 of most owned this week. And as we've seen in the past, whenever there's any sort of hype behind Molinari, it doesn't usually turn out all that well.
He's pretty high. Like he's pretty high.
He's 81. Like, the pricing is super soft this week. Like, you're getting Dustin at 5th highest odds. So we'll talk about Dustin in a second, but like, there's a reason for that. But it's just still kind of crazy. Stats that I'm looking at. I scaled it back. Not doing any specific ranges. I just look at what Siwoo did last year to win, and what everyone at the top of the leaderboard did. They played well tee to green in all facets. No one inside the top 25 lost strokes around the green, which I thought was very interesting. And they scored on par 4s. Everyone kind of scores on the par 5s. Par 4 scoring really came into the mix, and it's distributed all the way along. There's some long ones, there's some short ones. So just be consistent. Like, have 3 solid parts to get to the green, and I'm not worrying about putting whatsoever. I know that will come back to burn me when we talk about one of my other guys, but not everyone can win. Eventually they're going to get a hot week, and someone's going to run like Siwoo last week. I think he was the reason that he ended up becoming a great like DraftKings weekend play. He had lost like 4 strokes putting through the first 2 rounds, and all of a sudden on the weekend, boom, he putted like a little bit above average, and he was still lights out tee to green, and he ran away with it. So that's where I'm looking for. But you kind of hit it on the head a little bit. And the one last thing I want to talk about the types of players that I'm looking for is, if you're in a bunker and there's water in between you and the pin, do you attack the pin, or do you lay it up a little bit to the right? Make sure you get a good nice spot for an up and down.
That's right.
It's like on some of these par 4s. Sometimes it's better to miss short and know that you can make an easy par rather than knowing to put it over the green and bring double into play. Course management, like at all Pete Dye courses, but it's more pronounced here, is so important. You want to have guys that are I can't believe Phil's ever won this tournament. It blows my mind. And he doesn't have a great track record here, but he has won it once. But I get that he's a smart player, but he usually relies on his skills to bail himself out. And at this course, you just can't do that. Like, you need to know, I need to be short here. Then short's fine. Long is disaster.
And when you say easy par, I take that kind of back. I think it's like that makeable, like 8-12 footer. Like, give me a chance to save this par.
No,
here.
I think there are spots you can miss on here that set themselves up for an easier up and down. And there are spots here where you're dead if you get into it. Like, there's no making par. Yeah, you might not make par from the easier layup because you might shank a chip or do whatever. But if you're in the other spot, like you need the shot of all shots just to make par, and you don't want that. So you don't want the soup like old school Hunter Mahan, who just fired at every pin. Eventually you're just going to shoot it over the green a few times, and then you can't get up and down, and your week is over.
Well, that's sort of like, are you shocked Ricky Fowler wins here? No. But are you shocked if Ricky Fowler literally explodes here?
Well, he's got an addiction to going into the water lately.
But he's also got, he will just fire at pins.
But the year that he won this tournament, remember the situation? It's he's down 4 with 4 holes to go. And then he just got fire, and then he couldn't be beat. But I don't know. Do you trust Ricky at all?
Not right now. It's hard to trust anybody, even though the prices are sort of up on a lot of guys, especially when you consider other full fields, other majors, other World Golf Championship events. There's such a wild card element of this event that it kind of makes it hard to even start below 25-1.
Well, that might be where I start. I haven't decided on the top of the board yet, but that's around the range. But look back. I mentioned some of the crappy putters that were at the top of the leaderboard last year. Sergio has won this event. Adam Scott has won this event before. You're going to get your mix of just really weird players. Tim Clark has won this event. Stephen Ames won the Players 1 year. So a winner can literally come out of anywhere in the field. This is Kuchar's biggest win ever.
Of course. And to that, I guess it's my picks sort of dictate that. So I'd make the statement after deciding who I'm going to bet on. That's out of someone who's won pretty much everything. I'm banking on someone having their biggest...
Their big win.
This is the breakthrough.
Well, you're getting a lot of shots down the board here at long odds. So let's get into the odds this week. At the very top of the board, Rory and Day are the co-favorites.
And they
come in at 14-1. Spieth and Thomas are 16-1. DJ is 18-1. Ricky is 20. And then it's Rahm at 25, Rose at 28, Sergio, Casey at 33, Stenson and Reed at 30-1. Those are your favorites coming in. From that group, if we're talking about value, who's the value play here? Even on DraftKings this week, when I'm looking at the pricing, Dustin seems super underpriced for being the number 1 player in the world, the 5th most expensive guy. When you look at the odds, the 5th worst in odds. I think I like Rahm the best.
Rahm, because I sort of made that comment. Wouldn't really 25-1 would sort of be my starting point.
9,300 on DraftKings,
and
right?
He sort of would be that guy for me this week. Now, I get why Rory and Jason are at the top. Jason just won.
And he's won this tournament before.
He's won this before. It's respect time for Jason Day, who's, for the most part, always disrespected, except for the instances that you speak of. Rory, I think the 5-year cumulative score has him the best.
So
he is for the most part playing pretty consistent. He hasn't won yet this year, even going back to he won
API.
He won API. He's been playing extremely consistent, even though that Friday round kind of really bothered me from an outsider.
Well, you mentioned the past 5 years in terms of total strokes gained at this course.
Was that Serge?
Rory's number 1, Sergio's number 2, Adam Scott's number 3, Molinari's number 4, and Hideki's number 5.
Yeah.
And then do you know who's number 6? Want to take a wild stab in the dark?
Matt Kuchar?
Chris Kirk.
Okay. And there's a lot going on at the top, Pat. You know that there's 5 different people could be number 1 in the world after this week.
Well, Dustin with a win can keep himself in the running.
But here. Dustin doesn't need to win. He's actually got to play well or he's in trouble. So Dustin Johnson will stay at number 1 as of now. 4 players could become number 1 after the players. DJ will need to finish inside the top 11 to maintain that.
And he's never finished inside the top 11 at this tournament ever. T12 last year was his best finish ever at the Players Championship.
And there's that big sort of, I saw it making the rounds on Twitter, Bubba and Dustin, just to sort of single out a skill set, have one top 25 combine them lifetime.
Yeah.
That sort of kind of says all you need to know when trying to figure out that player, that type of player you need.
But why does that lead me to Rahm then? Isn't Rahm exactly that type of player too?
Yes, I would argue that he's way more proficient in the other things than, say, Dustin was at that age.
I wouldn't even say at that age, but at that same point in their career. I think that people forget that Jon Rahm is, the third-ranked player? Fourth-ranked player?
Well,
maybe he's the second-ranked player in the world?
I mentioned all these guys. It is Rose can win and have a chance. Rahm a solo second or a win. Spieth a solo second or a win. And JT, even with a miscut, if it goes bad enough for Dustin, and those guys don't like T3, could be the number one in the world. And this is, I mean, it feels like for a little bit now, Dustin's been like hanging on by a thread at holding that off. I don't know, it's kind of irrelevant to actually betting this tournament, but it is that group of players we are talking about. And Rahm, I don't know if I'm going to bet anyone this low, but if I did, that is where I start.
So the big thing for me, when I ran the model on Fantasy National, you knew it spit out to me as the guy I want to take. Not shocking, by the way. And I think that he might get a little disrespected here because I think people are going to think the pressure's on him because with a decent performance, he can become the number one player in the world. It's Justin Thomas. Thomas is just, he's perfect for this. Like, you want guys that score on par fours. That's where he scores on par fives, fine, but he destroys par fours. And when I think about not just Pete Dye courses, but courses that line up a little bit with this, like Honda, Valspar, like those less than driver courses that are tough, and you're going to need to scramble in spots. JT is an excellent scrambler. He's good with these like shorter irons where you can just kind of stick it. Like even his final round at Honda when he outlasted Luke List, like it was a very impressive performance. And we need to dial up those shots. He could dial them up. Plus, you know, the year that Day won, 2016, Justin Thomas was third at this tournament behind everyone else. So it's not like it's not like he's in, 3 career starts. He MDF'd last year with the T75, tied for third, tied for 24th in his first start. So I think that he's probably the best option from this top of this list.
It's a very good case.
But for whatever reason, I just kind of like Rahm. I don't know what it is. I just feel like you're not going to be able to overpower this course, but Career Builder's like a Pete Dye-esque track.
Are you not worried that Rahm, like the code word, like diabolical course?
Isn't the Masters kind of like that too, though?
Yeah.
And then he did the same thing at the Masters last year. He had 2 really nice rounds, then he kind of exploded a little bit. Comes back this year, finishes inside the top 5. Why can't he do that? He had this course figured out through like 31 holes last year, and then he just went full eject. Maybe that's a nice learning experience for him. And first timers can play well here, but like it's been a while since a first timer won. And just to show that kind of moxie your first time around, I just think that if he can just get all the wedges in his hand and he doesn't need to hit driver every single time, he can still hit these irons long enough and he can hit them straight enough that he can make this into like a chipping contest for himself.
Well, if he sort of takes that playbook of that low stinger off the tee, which works so well, Jason Day will use it. Tiger, that's his secret weapon here. Rahm can stick to that. He hits it incredibly accurate.
I guess the problem is, and the one thing that we always talk about Rahm is, if things start going badly for Rahm, can he get through that and like calm himself down?
Well, that's sort of what I mentioned. Like, it's a course that can, well, you gave me the Masters, but is the diabolical layout the place for him? But when I mentioned at the top of, I'm for the most part expecting a breakthrough win. I mean, he's got a few, but there's no doubt this would be
the biggest.
He hasn't won a WGC. He's won Torrey Pines. He's won a few times. Well, he's won at a 50% clip at the times he decides to play in Europe. It seems.
And this would be the big win.
This would be the big win.
And this is a good stepping stone to a major eventually, because let's be real here.
Yeah.
Or do we want to get into the 5th major talk? Because next week, they're going to the 17th major, the Byron Nelson.
No, I don't really care to get into 5th major talk. But if there's like anyone you could bet to, it's a long window, but like give me a 5-year window, let me bet anyone who hasn't won a major. Like there's no way he wouldn't be everyone's first pick, even Fowler fans.
Yeah, I would agree. Because he's going to find one of these PGA championships and he just overpowers.
There's just no doubt. You see what he's doing.
Or you get him at St. Andrews and he just laps the field.
Next year's Master. Just you see what he's doing. Granted, I'm a Fowler fan. I'm saying that.
Well, I just think Ricky's overvalued here at 20-1.
He's overvalued, but it was like a breath of fresh air to like see him kind of backing up.
Sure, what, should he have better odds than Dustin Johnson?
No, but I should say everyone backed up, but it was kind of like ridiculous where his price point was last week.
I would still argue, listen, there's nothing wrong with 20 if you think that Ricky's going to win. 20 is a great number to get. But why is he a significant favorite over Justin Rose or Sergio or Stenson? Like, that's the class of player he should be in.
Yeah. There's a few names.
Like Sergio and Stenson have both won this event before.
Stenson, a sneaky guy this week. Look at his finishes this year.
Really?
Yeah. Everything. What hasn't he shown up in? Even the Masters, which historically isn't his event. Look at his finishes. Run them.
Finishes for Henrik Stenson. Last 3 starts, not including the team event.
Not including the team event, but even before the year, he had like nothing but T10s in Abu Dhabi. Like
since the Wyndham, I don't have the Euro stats here. I just have the PGA stats. Since the Wyndham last year, he won the Wyndham, 17th, 51st, 2nd, 17th, missed the cut at the Valspar in his past 3 starts, 4th at API, 6th at Shell, 5th at the Masters.
You brought it. You got it quicker than I could. This is a guy in form on a layout that works perfect for his skill set.
Keep it in the fairway, hit some irons.
And you mentioned, he is not the greatest putter in the world, but oh baby, like when it's Terminator time, yeah. He's let a few slip away this year, but he's done nothing but contend. Strong field, strong events. API, Masters was the other one?
Shell. And that was a week he lost 2.5 strokes on the greens, and that was really the difference for him.
That do anything for you?
Thinking about it, like you could talk me into Sergio, who realistically had 1 bad hole at the Masters, and that's like we were all over Sergio, but like it's really there's an afterglow there that I'm still willing to buy into. There was that bad hole at the Masters. The Valero was ugly as well, where he's the favorite. He missed the cut on the
field. I'm talking, but when you. Listen, I could be sold.
The Valero turned into something that Andrew Landry won with Trey Mullenix in 2nd, and then like Ryan Moore and Zach Johnson in the mix.
Yeah. I don't know if this sort of part, like Stenson, would be the most bet worthy to me. I'm even tempting myself.
What about Patrick Reed?
Playing great.
Another top 10 last week.
Killing it. I hope he tees off in the green jacket.
He should just play every tournament in the green jacket. That would be amazing.
He should just walk, he should just show up. He should walk that locker room wearing his jacket.
But he's like, even at API, where he lost strokes with his approaches, he putted the lights out. His around the green game we know is probably the best on tour. Him, Spieth, or like Kevin Na have the best short games, or Hadwin. But just the putter is rolling right now for him. And that's the one thing that I do worry about, that it's almost like Day last week. Like, if Day plays like he did last week and just his putting normalizes, like he's not in it.
I'm close.
And he's in every bunker, like he's missing off the tee. That's why I'm not really considering Day this week, and just it's too high up the board for me. Not saying he can't win, because he could definitely roll hot with the putter again, like the year that he won here, or just get his tee to green back together. But that's the one thing that concerns me about Reed. Now, maybe, listen, his past few starts, 2nd, 7th, 1st. One of them was, he even came top 10 at the stupid team event with Cantlay. So, I feel like 30 is the right number. Do we just think he wins again this soon? I don't.
I'm willing to bet against that part of it.
Yeah.
More so than the actual skill set of the player. Kind of like Paul Casey.
Yeah. Poor Paul Casey, man. The guy's having a tremendous year, and every week just like, I don't want to bet Paul Casey.
To me, in that low 30s, even Hideki.
Well, Hideki and Phil are the next two, the only other 2 guys below 40. I'm not going to bet Phil here. Hideki's interesting, but I did not like what I saw from him last week.
I'm not ready to pull the trigger, is sort of where I'm at. To me, in this 30, anything at 30, it's Stenson. Stenson, then Surge.
Stenson and Surge.
But I don't have bets on either of them. Right now, though, if I really did get into anyone under the 40 number, it's Sergio, it's Stenson or Rahm.
You might have sold me a bit on Stenson. I'm looking at Rahm, and I might just talk myself into Justin Thomas by the time this is over. I'm sick of him winning all the time and me being like, his odds are too high. Like, we're getting him at good odds here. He's 16-1.
And he wins at the Clips. He's always kind of contending.
And this course seems kind of perfect for him.
Pete Dye courses, I think he's played pretty well at. The match play was a Pete Dye course. That was the most recent one.
And he doesn't generally play in the other Pete Dye events. He doesn't play the Travelers.
Yeah.
He doesn't play Heritage. He doesn't play Career Builder. So.
Okay, is it time?
It's time to do this. Tiger Woods, 40-1. $8,600 on DraftKings. It's a place where he's won twice before. Has had some success in his career. The last time that you mentioned that he was a great player, 2013. This was a tournament that he won. Won no majors that year. He won the 5th major. He won the Players. And with the way that Tiger has played this season, and the courses that he's played well at. So what do they all have in common? Well, here are Tiger's results so far in 2018. Not counting the Hero because that was last year. 23rd at the Farmers, missed the cut at the Genesis. Played the next week, 12th at the Honda, then played back-to-back weeks, 2nd at the Valspar, 5th at API, 32nd at the Masters, 55th at the Wells Fargo Championship. That little in-between stretch, 12th, 2nd, 5th. What do those courses all have in common, Jeff?
They're definitely less driver courses.
Except for
wind courses.
API is a driver course, and that's where he lost 3.5 strokes off the tee.
So, okay, but Honda and Valspar?
Less than driver courses, for sure.
Less than driver courses. Courses, I don't know, those ones that he hasn't historically played well, but wind. Wind a big factor, especially at the Honda, at API.
They were hard. But just in general, let's just take one more step back removed from how the course plays. Those 3 courses, what do they have in common? They're all in Florida. Tiger kills Florida, man. And this is a spot we're finally getting Tiger at reasonable prices. At the Masters, he was, Tiger's definitely going to win the Masters. He's the favorite to win the Masters. Are you sure about that? And like last week, he gained 3 strokes with his driver. He didn't hit a ton of fairways, but he gained a lot of strokes with his driver. That was nice to see. But he lost 6 strokes putting. And this is why we're getting this number. Because I even see people at the Golf Channel tweeting stuff out, being like, bad week for Tiger on the greens. Maybe he's lost his putting stroke. No, he had a bad week putting.
Going into last week, he was top 10 in
putting. Top 10 in putting. Yeah, but now he sucks at putting.
You even said, and I get it, you can make a case when you like a guy, you can anti-case when you don't like a guy.
You can make a case for and against almost
he's
every
putting
golfer.
so well. I don't know, that's got to regress. And it did. What do you know? But it's also not going to do that again the following week.
Yeah, he was 3rd worst in the field of any player that made the cut on the greens. Ball striking wise, top notch. Gained 4.5 strokes with his irons. He was a net even around the green because he didn't really have to chip all that much. But for the year, at Honda in the positive, at Valspar massively in the positive around the greens. 4.3 strokes saved. There's no strokes gain stats for the Masters. But after watching him a bunch, and after watching him shank every drive, and shank every iron.
The drives were good. The irons sucked.
The drives weren't all good. The irons weren't good. So he was missing a lot of greens. Yeah. How did he finish okay? Because he's good around the greens. Yeah. That's going to help this week if he's not dialed in. But I think he can be pretty dialed in.
This is the first 28 new 3.0 outright bet I have of Tiger. It feels great. The line finally came back. We joked about what that Masters line was. Yes, the field is strong, but this line's up. And anytime you take that driver out of hand now, and I'll tell you what about this Tiger that I love, because he knows he has to do things differently. Kind of like at Valspar, kind of like at Honda. I love Tiger playing strategy courses.
And what is this? It's a strategy course.
Courses that involve next level strategy to play around, to get it right. So he'll hold on. Listen, I'm hoping he'll hold on when he doesn't have it, but it's going to fire on all cylinders when he does. This is like a double bet for me, to be honest.
Sure. Double?
Well, it's a bit
you just want to have the glory when it happens.
It's been a long time since I bet Tiger. When I decided it's time to bet him, I bet him.
I haven't played Tiger on DraftKings yet this year. Not one share, not one lineup with Tiger. He'll be massively overweight this week.
Won't he for the most part, though?
What? Be popular?
Well, I guess he's in a strong ram, and you can get the hottest golfer on the planet almost in Reed, and Hideki's got nice course history.
Listen, I'm not saying it's the most sensible play to go in on chalk Tiger, but I think if there's a spot, like this is the... And he's had good, like I just mentioned, 12th, 2nd, 5th. He's had good performances so far this year. Just, I didn't really feel great about him at any of them. I feel good about him this week. And maybe that's the wrong way to go, because for DraftKings strategy-wise, honestly, as much as you don't like the looks of your lineup, this is the week just to stomach awful-looking lineups and be like, no one's taking these 4 guys, I'll take them. That's really the move here. That's what's prevailed in the past few years at the Players' Championship.
I was really surprised to see this number. Because, yes, everyone's getting a bump, but there has been nothing in his total package of recent form golf to put him back here, based on where they've had him before. And some could argue he's still overvalued. He shouldn't be lower than certain, player X, Y, and Z who have won this, that, and the other in the last, 3 calendar years or what have you. But this feels good. It feels right. It was a great place to start Monday morning. I'll tell you that much.
I was shocked when I saw the pricing come out for everything. I was like, because Tiger always gets inflated. Always. And this is the week they scale him back?
And if they put him right there beside John Rahm, you would have been surprised. And I'll say something actually. I don't know whether it is just the 365 book. Because I know he's not this price on Bodog Bovada. It's shorter. And I know the morning line on Will Hill was 28. So I don't know whether they...
This gets bet down, because the first thing I saw, because I opened it up, I was like, oh, I'm betting Tiger. Perfect. And then I went to Twitter, and everyone else was like, we're all betting Tiger. It's like, oh, uh-oh. So he probably not the best one-and-done pick.
No, but also I guess that sucks in the sense that reminds me, because people sort of made the joke. A lot of people have won a lot of money. Fantasy Nationals killed it. But there hasn't been that one big communal win. Feels like Siwoo would have been that, but you just walked away with all the money. Yeah, I don't know. Kisner Brown in the team event sort of felt, for people that bet it, sort of felt like,
I feel like the Bubba match play win seemed to be pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty good. Like I said, there hasn't been, and then people are like, I don't know, oh, everyone's on it. Even though the player's doing well, no, there hasn't been this glory.
Everyone high fives all around, big circle jerk, the whole thing. Last week with Keith Mitchell, if he had won first round, everyone was on that.
And that is sort of what triggered this thought, because it seems like it keeps being right at the crisp, at the tips of it, and coming back. All Tiger.
All right. Rest of the players in this range.
Do they matter?
Yeah, they could.
No, I joke. And Tiger, because everyone else who I pick, this is a breakthrough win. That guy, yeah. Okay. In many ways, it is a breakthrough win for Tiger.
It would be.
Any win, even winning the Wyndham now, feels like it would be a breakthrough.
Yeah, you go to the LPGA Tour and beat his niece or whoever it is, Cheyenne Woods, get a win there. So the rest of this range, you have Bryson at 50, Fleetwood at 55, Molinari, who we spoke about the course history, is 55, Kisner 66, Bubba 55, Noren 66, Kuchar 66, Poulter and Brooks at 60, Leishman at 66, Louis at 60. Is there anyone in there outside of DeChambeau that interests you? Because I'm interested in Noren and I'm interested in Fleetwood, but Fleetwood was a disaster last week.
They both seem to have...
they were both a disaster last week.
They both seem to have cooled a bit.
Noren in his debut last year was 10th here.
I'm intrigued by both. The Bryson hype can't be ignored.
It's Bryson's first start here. Doesn't that seem strange? It is, though. Because he got his status after he won last year at John Deere.
And I guess he was an amateur when he played so well at the Masters.
Yeah. So
wow.
He didn't play any of the junior tournaments, nothing like that. But doesn't he seem specifically geared to win this tournament? Strategy. Playing well at Pete Dye courses.
I sort of feel like science, shouldn't the science be able to find a way to miss the water?
Yeah, he's not good at that. He likes to put it in the water. Yeah. He's like Ricky in that sense. There's some sort of magnet in the middle of the water.
I'm always drawn to Fleetwood and Noren. Haven't pulled the trigger
I just think we're getting rooked on the Bryson price.
But what, a second, a third, a fourth in the Masters?
Yeah. He's played really well.
He's playing really, I don't think you're getting that rooked. Like, where should he be, in the 60s?
I don't know. I would just prefer him to be 80, and I'd just pull the trigger instantly. I see 50, which is still a great number. And I'm just like, he was 45 last week. 4th, 3rd, 38th, 2nd. Past 4 starts. It's pretty good.
He's the hottest player here. I guess outside of Patrick Reed.
Reed is the hottest player. Then it's Bryson.
Yeah.
And then it's Luke List. But we'll get to that in a second.
I'm sure we will. Fleetwood and Noren both strike me as players that should be able to make their way around here very fine. Like, to me, everything they do sort of is conducive to succeeding here. They're very safe, accurate drivers. They're very solid. They're good iron players. I mean, when Fleetwood is on with his irons, he hits it so pure. But even when he's not on, he can find greens, and they're both very capable of getting hot with the putter.
Noren has just been
horrible.
Like, the last 2 starts have been problematic.
What, Masters and
Masters and last week?
Going back. What was right before the Masters?
API, he was 36th.
He's fine.
Yeah, that's fine, but his last 2 starts have just not been good.
Problem. And Fleetwood?
Fleetwood was bad last week. They played the team tournament
They did okay,
T5 with Paisley.
Best friends, roommates?
Yeah. But like the approach, he has not gained strokes with his approach, and maybe he did at the Masters. There's just no strokes gained data for it whatsoever. But he had a very bad Sunday, as I recall. Yeah, because I had him to win. He played poorly on Sunday. But lost with his approaches, like 3 of the last weighted events that we have. Like, I don't want to see that coming in.
Yep.
But I guess DraftKings wise, if you think about it, just throw away the betting for a second. I guess I'll get into this more tomorrow. But he was the most owned player last week on DraftKings by a pretty substantial margin, and he missed the cut. Now, I don't know if recency bias is going to play itself into it, because it's proven that, that's not necessarily the case. Everyone went back to Luke List last week. Good on them. Smart play. But will people go away from Fleetwood now when you have him in the same range as Tiger and Bryson and Molinari, who's going to be super chalky, and Kisner, who just kills Pete Dye courses? I don't know. That's for further exploration. Do you like the Kiz?
Kisner's another guy who I got a half star beside. Always seems to find his name at the bigger the tournament, he seems to be showing up at, it seems, no?
Yeah, I would agree. In just every Pete Dye track, he just shows up. But he since that final round with Scott Brown at Zurich, like, he played awful last week. He played awful in that final round. I don't know what's going on with him.
Like you said, he seems to have a sort of gear for big events, and he has a gear for Pete Dye courses.
Let's put him together.
Those things are kind of exploding.
He's sort of like, I kind of see Kuchar as like the new Matt.
Kisner
is the new Matt Kuchar.
I could buy that.
And this seems like a tournament he could win. I don't know if he's ever going to win a major, but this is the type of tournament
I like.
It's a course set up perfectly for him.
66 is pretty good.
So he is not the guy I bet at 66, though. So we'll start running through some names here that we actually do like. Although Billy Horschel's 55-1, which I found amusing, but I'm not betting it.
Who are you betting, Leishman?
No, you told me, and I made this proclamation at the beginning of the year, that every time that this guy's odds fell below 35-1, I would bet him. And the last time he fell below 35-1, I didn't bet him, and he came like second.
Till he's second with Finau at Genesis.
Yeah.
And we're here, Pat. And
good performance here last year. Good performance in the junior players. Patrick Cantlay, I worry. All he needs to do is keep himself out of the sand, and I think we're good to go.
I think it sets up very well. More so the number than anything. And you made that promise, and it almost backfired on you. I said I wouldn't let you
do
make
it again.
The same mistake again. And here we are. And the Masters doesn't really count, because I'm sure he was over at the Masters.
Yeah. He wasn't going to win the Masters.
Like I said, I think this guy's going to contend at Shinnecock, so let's get that party started.
He played really well here last year, too.
Have we even said his name yet?
Patrick Cantlay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, good.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
So he's 66. So others in this range that I'm going towards, this is where I kind of started sprinkling around some money. So I went Tiger, then I dropped to this range. So it's not because I didn't really want to invest too much because I always pick so poorly here. So just minier plays on these guys. And that top six each way really kind of helps me out. You can try to guess them if you want.
Well, there's a couple.
I'll tell you if I've bet them yet or not. And you can make your cases for some guys.
The first name that comes to mind once we cross behind Cantlay, well, there's two. sort of that ride or die Finau conversation.
I'm out.
But that's the one that is double starred with both sides.
Is it?
Is it Emiliano Grillo?
It is Emiliano.
I mean, we're sort of talking about the hype that Bryson's getting for playing so well. Yes, Grillo's
playing well, man.
A step behind. He doesn't have those like gaudy second and thirds, but there have been pretty consistent plays. Even, I know everything sort of fell apart. Going back to India, where you won't have the numbers for, where he was like outstanding for most of it on an incredibly hard course and then crumbled down the stretch. Ever since he's come back from that trip, he's been outstanding.
Ball striking. Ball striking, ball striking, ball striking, and he's exactly that type of player. He's not a bomber.
No, just that we need those 2 hot putting rounds.
He's like better Kyle Stanley. And Kyle Stanley played really well here this
listen.
last. And people rag on Grillo's putting, and sometimes he gets it going bad. Grillo's a pretty good putter.
I rag on it because when I bet him,
well,
it's
someone
painful.
was complaining last week. It's like Grillo had a 13-footer on every hole, and he only made one. It's like, yeah, guys don't make 13-footers all that often.
I agree.
If he started missing 4-footers like he's fucking Luke List, then there would be a problem.
No, I agree, and that's the sign that like that's the iron play, and like you're banking on one of those rounds, like 6 of
Getting
them
hot
dropping,
fire.
and that's what happens. That round that was it Arnold Palmer where he like got himself really into contention.
He did it there, and he did it at Farmers too. Like the putter just went unconscious.
I bet him last week. All week I was waiting for him to take off. He got to like the point where it was like he's kind of in it, could never sort of hit that other step. So this is a wagon I can't get off because I bet it last week. I'm liking everything I see. Like this is, I joked I thought Wells Fargo was nice. This is bigger than the big boy party.
He played this as a junior as well. Missed the cut in 2016, 11th last year. So I like Grillo. He's on the card. As is Zach Johnson. Going to the Zach Johnson well here.
Played well at Valero. I mean, it's the type of course.
Also playing sneaky good.
Sneaky
Short
good.
course, Pete Dye course. He's hitting the driver really well, and he's actually one of the few players that's going to use driver this week. Most guys are just going to use 2 irons. But just when distance is not cumbersome to him. He has a really good short game. He's been putting well all year. He's actually been playing well all year. And we're getting him at 80-1.
Yeah. No, I can't argue with it. I don't know if it's just going to crack for me, but
next guy.
His skill set works here. I got to go down a little because there's somebody who could work here. I'm not betting. He's sneaky good.
Cam Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave
How'd
Cam.
you know?
I gave Cam because we just talked about good short game.
Looked at him hard, right?
I gave him a hard look, but it gets to one of those things where, like, especially when I'm doing my initial picks, like, which guys do I really like? I really like Cantlay. I really like Grillo. I really like Zach Johnson. I really like Tiger. They're on the card. Now I need to kind of do the work, and that's why on Wednesdays I release my betting cheat sheet. Maybe one of these guys ends up making it. I don't know. I have to do more research. I need to talk it out through more people. I think it's unwise to be like, here's my card. It's Monday morning. I'm not going to do any more thinking about it. That's it.
We've been there too.
Yeah, I know.
We used to do it, and there's some people still do, and it's a position we're sort of put in the middle of, and I give props to anyone who does it and understands when you're getting those picks on Monday, there are a lot of variables that are really not available, let alone wind for places like this, but really intricate things, because like an NFL week, like you might think something on a Monday or Tuesday. Sunday morning, like you might feel exponentially different.
And I'm also not under the impression that I'm the world's smartest person and the world's best golf picker. I'll let other people who are smart make some cases. And I'll be like, hey, that makes a lot of sense. I'll go with that.
Taking in the info. I absolutely love it.
Also,
do you know Adam Scott isn't in the U.S. Open yet?
I heard that. Adam Scott destroys this course, man.
Are you doing it?
I almost have. I bet him every other week. Like, why wouldn't I bet him here? 90-1. I don't have a bet in on him yet, but I'll probably just throw $10 on him for peace of mind. Maybe 20 and give myself the each way out here.
Not for me.
Well,
there's other guys here.
Well, do you know who did make the card?
I know, Luke List.
List.
He's everything. He is a player's champion. Like, you close your eyes, you mention all those things. Like, Luke List would be like maybe one of the first like 4 faces that come into your head. Would he not?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things like hitting 4-foot putts that it takes to win a golf tournament. But the past winners, the type of guys that can win,
And I kept pointing this out over the past few weeks. And
Listen, you made those Honda points for Tiger. How can we got to give? We got to give Luke List Honda points.
Well, and Luke List has just been playing well in general since he missed the cut at Valero, but since the Farmers, he has made the cut in every other tournament. And not only that, he's come inside the top 26 every time he's made the cut. So not only is he making the cut at a very high clip, he's generating good performances at a very high clip. But when I pointed out last week that these driver courses, maybe he's like sneaky Gary Woodland, in that you take the driver out of his hands. Maybe he's a little bit better. So let's look at the courses where you took the driver out of his hands. 2nd at the Honda, 16th at Valspar, 3rd at Heritage. And you know what
you bring up that dreaded Valero where I think he's like 20-1 on a betting card.
And I granted
the
like
field,
an idiot.
Granted the field was, weak, but it was sort of like where you want to just hit it accurately, but you want to get it out there. And he bottomed out. So I that Foss Gary Woodland 3-wood comparison.
He's not even
works,
he's gonna be hitting like 5-iron off the tee.
Hatton, I worry this place is just gonna
blow him up like Rahm.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're worried about Rahm maybe diabolically getting to him, Hatton, you never know.
But the thing is, Hatton gets frustrated and starts yelling, but he doesn't play poorly when it happens.
I'm a Hatton guy. I
like Hatton too.
Any shade. I'm always cheering for him. I just hope he does well when I bet him. Pat, there's a big discrepancy in Rafa Cabrera-Bello. He is 100-1 on the 365 on other outlets. Like this is a 66-1 golfer at 100-1.
You have a love for Rafa that I don't.
At 100-1, I really like Rafa. I think I do.
Rafa doesn't have a good performance this year. Outside of that week in Mexico, he gained 10 strokes putting. I'd worry about that.
How has Brendan Grace played this year?
Grace has been playing pretty well, and he played well at the Masters. The Masters is not geared for him whatsoever. Like, it's really the course where he should never play well at. He came 24th, came 8th at Valspar. Putted really well that week, though. I'm not in on him because the next guy that I'm going to is someone else.
Is it Webb Simpson?
No, there's no one else in the single or double digits. I'm now into triple digit area. Webb, I'm going to give a harder look to. I think Grace, you're right. Chappell is someone that I was on for a while. Kills Pete Dye courses. I think that he's someone that you can give some look to.
Can I give a 3-digit nut guy, though?
Yeah, you give a 3-digit guy. Right
off the top, Adam Hadwin.
The second Canadian to win the Players' Championship. Adam Hadwin, after Stephen Ames. Hello, I'm Stephen Ames, all from Canada. Sure you are, pal.
Anytime that driver isn't a big factor and we're hitting greens, he has been sneaky, incredibly consistent as well. Right? Sneaky.
Agreed.
Sneaky form. That wouldn't show up unless you watch SportsCenter in Canada.
Or if you just look on the Fantasy National modeling.
He's winning on your model?
What do you find? No, just to do something very easy like, hey, let's sort by the past 24 rounds and look who has gained the most strokes tee to green on average per event. Luke List is number 1. Jordan Spieth is number 2. Justin Thomas is number 3. Dustin Johnson is number 4. Adam Hadwin is number 5. He's the best player in the field around the greens. He's ball striking incredibly well. I think there's a lot to like here. I really do. And the one thing that he's not doing great is hitting the ball off the tee, but he's been playing a lot of these longer courses and still playing them well. Now you get him at a shorter course. We didn't get to see him at Heritage, but he generally plays Heritage very well. I like it. He's made the cut here the last 2 years, and we know that, listen, it's hard to put any sort of weight into putting. Like right now he's 91st in this field over the past 24 rounds on the greens, but we know he's a really good putter. That shouldn't be that too big of a problem. So I like Hadwin this week. I'm in on him. I bet him too. 110-1. Next up, see, Kim, 100-1. Just bet it beyond your way. Defending champ, although defending champs have a very poor track record here.
The groupings are already out too.
Are all the groupings out? Because I always saw the first 2.
Oh, they just gave those 2?
Yeah. So it also harkens back to the fact that the players, in overcompensating to try to be a major, goes out of its way to give the viewers a lot of love. So we're getting Phil, Tiger, and who's the other one in that group? Phil, Tiger,
Ricky.
And Ricky together.
And you want to know something?
And then we're getting Rory, Spieth, and Justin Thomas together.
Ricky says that he plays his best golf in the presence of Tiger Woods. Or Tiger Woods, the effect that people think Tiger has on a lot of people.
Has the opposite effect?
Per Ricky. I don't know if that's statistically backed.
I doubt it is. I would doubt
But
it.
he says the golfer that brings out the best in him is Tiger Woods.
It's a good thing to say. I'll tell you that much. You get you into groups with Tiger Woods. You get all of the TV time. So, Hadwin and Siwoo, bombs. One guy I have circled. I don't know what to do with.
Chris Kirk.
Kirk, he might just be like a top 10 bet.
Kevin Na?
No, Jimmy Walker.
I don't know.
Walker keeps playing well.
Playing well. Now the year Kuchar won. Gagged the lead.
Really, Kevin Na gagged a lead away? Stop the presses. He is really good around the greens. That's where he kind of makes his bones. And he likes these Pete Dye shorter courses. I get the Kevin Na. I'm not going to bet Kevin Na. That'd be crazy. But I like Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker scores on par 4 super sneakily, playing under the radar really good, plays hard courses really well. I like Jimmy Walker.
I'll say this, and I guess he's cheap enough where you can make a strong case for DraftKings if you actually think he's going to play well enough to maybe win, and he's been playing well. In this game of picking outrights, yeah, I like it.
He's a major winner.
Like
he wins.
If it blows up in his face and he shoots a 79, whatever. But yeah, no, I can see that. His current form has been sneaky good, kind of like Hadwin. So that's a pretty strong.
Yeah, you just don't
number.
notice it with him.
But has he ever won an event where like the driver wasn't important?
That I don't know. He won Sony. Sony's not a huge driver. I guess
Don't they just
Sony
rip
can,
it? Yeah,
Sony can be
is.
because you can miss the fairway.
It's like
there,
wide
yes.
open. Yeah.
How's he played at the Players? Let's see. He's 4th at Valero, 20th at the Masters. He played well in the team event. He's been making cuts. He played 33rd at Honda, 28th at Valspar.
Looks this sneaky, consistent.
He's played poorly here the past few turns. 6th at the Players in 2014, 15th in 2013. It's just a really big number for a guy that could win, was the way that I was looking at it. So then I have no one in between, and then I bet Martin Keimer at 200 to 1.
No one in between.
Not yet, no. I'll probably add someone else to that list.
Does
I also put in one bet at 750 to 1. That was the magic number for Siwoo last year, 750 to 1. Well, he is a first timer, and I mainly took it for the each way odds to get the top 6 instead of the top 5. Because if it hits for the top 6, the bars.
I hope I'm watching with volume because I'll get tricked into thinking Rafa's playing really well if I see Boss draining putts. They do look like you don't see that.
I feel like Rafa has a very distinct look to him because of the outfits that he wears.
Nitpicking in that 100 to 200 range, potential course suits. Russell Knox.
Russell Knox definitely. Jacksonville guy has played well. Besides, was it the 17th hole that he dumped 3 in the water?
Oh yeah, he's got the record there, doesn't he?
I think so.
Or this modern era of golfers, I think he's got the most in there.
Knox too. If we dig into him a little bit more, I feel like, just anecdotally from what I remember from him lately, that he's playing much better, just can't putt, which is par for the course. For Russell Knox, has won on a Pete Dye course at Travelers 2 years ago. Has gained with his approaches the last 2 rounds. But nothing huge because he just doesn't do anything else. Well, Russell Knox may not make the sheet for me.
Nothing there yet. 2 names, though. Both internationals.
Okay.
Hao Tong?
Not doing it for me.
Levy?
Not doing it for me. I'd rather bet Bill Haas at 200 to 1. Which I think I might do.
Levy's been outstanding.
Oh, great. Yeah, congratulations, Alexander Levy. You won the Moroccan Open. Yeah. You beat Austin Conley.
And then there was something the week after.
Yeah, he went to China as the favorite, didn't win.
But he played very well. I think it was like a T.
That's great. Who did he beat over there?
I don't know. The field was decent.
This field's better.
Shocker. I don't know. Levy.
You tell me you had to play if you got the head-to-head, Levy versus Bill Haas. I would take Bill Haas 10 times out of 10.
He's a Pete Dye guy.
It's not going to win 10 times out of 10, but Haas is coming back into form a little bit. Pete Dye guy. We know he's good around the greens. He's won a FedEx Cup. He's won an East Lake, which is not necessarily a corollary course, but there's a lot of similar attributes you can apply at Eastlake as you can here. I like Bill Haas. Much better than those guys.
For DraftKings, because
Yep.
I don't think he could really win. How bad has Lingmerth been?
Bad.
Yeah.
Not good.
Is this a course that sets up for Little David?
It sets up for like when he was good.
Truth is, it actually sets up for a lot of guys. You know who we got to talk about?
Who?
It's frustrating
Well, who?
because we're back in Florida. Really thought he'd win in Florida.
Uline? Because he's not in the field.
No, I know that. Ollie? Nothing for you?
I don't bet Ollie like the rest of you guys do.
I haven't bet him in
I
a
bet
while.
Luke. I bet Luke List instead and lose all my money that way.
I haven't bet him in a while. It's been many a weeks since I bet Ollie.
7,100, 125. I mean, I think I'd rather bet Bo Hossler at 140. Has had a very good junior. Ollie and Bo Hossler both had really good junior players' careers here. If that means anything to you.
Do you think it's... okay.
What were you going to ask me?
Nothing.
Any love for Satoshi Kodaira? Won in Heritage.
No.
No? Just pass? You know what we didn't bring up, and he's in this field, that I totally forgot when we did the recap. See Bryce Garnett Sunday? 17 over par. He went full Smiley Kaufman.
I didn't see it.
Wasn't a great day. Great day for Bryce. Laughed it off on Twitter, though. Excited to be playing in the Players' Championship. Like, people are giving him all sorts of heat. Like, oh, how are you even a tour pro? 17 over. He won like a month ago. Got the guy some slack.
Do we hope Xander just bottoms out here so that number can get bigger before Shinnecock?
Yes. I want to get him back on bent grass. And I
He's
don't...
a guy, anytime you see these triple digits, you
I don't think he has the required
Yeah.
around the green game, unless he hits every green in regulation,
No.
which he's not going to do. It could get real dicey for Xander quickly.
I'm just saying, I'm a sucker for him, and especially at the triple digits. Sorry, like when they've been putting out these 80s and down to the hundreds because he's just sort of been off. But this layout is kind of the complete opposite.
Past 24 rounds around the green. And this is like, instead of looking at bogey avoidance or scrambling, I think this could really tell you a lot about what's going on here and guys that are going to tread water a little bit. I mean, it's hard to save par if you put it in the water. So iron play and ball striking is going to mean more. But if you're not completely off with your irons, you can just be a little bit off and start making bogeys in a hurry. These are the worst guys in the field over the past 24 rounds around the greens. Kodaira is actually the worst. Bubba is number 2. Harkins, Horschel, Kraft, Henley, Kiradesh, Hautong, Lingmerth, Spawn, Levay, although that's not really recent form. That's from like majors last year. Blaine Barber, Wee Kim, JJ Henry, Hudson Swafford, Palmer, Sink, Stanley, who actually has been playing better, just not around the greens, I guess. Stenson's in that mix, though. Stenson has not been good around the greens. But he may have been at the Masters and we just don't know it because it's not weighted. It's not factored in here. But Stanley played well last year. Remember, we were all over. Stanley is basically the way that I've been betting Luke List this year is how I bet Kyle Stanley last year. And then he finally ended up winning. 14th
In the playoff, that was a big one.
at Memorial or the National.
I don't know.
14th, last 4 starts for Kyle Stanley, 25th, 14th, 52nd at the Masters, 13th last week at Wells Fargo. And was positive in all 4 facets of the game last week. Didn't excel in any one area, but was not bad in any one area either. So maybe a nice rebound for Kyle Stanley. Where's he at this week? I didn't even think about him. You see him?
I thought I saw him on the first line.
Oh, God, really? Oh, yeah, there he is, 90-1. 7,200 on DraftKings is far more appealing for me. Because he's right next to Siwoo.
Yeah.
And I will not be playing Siwoo on DraftKings. He'll just get my outright money.
Fitzpatrick's been horrible.
Don't even bring him up. He's awful.
I'm just like,
He's garbage.
I know, but in a different world and place, this would be a perfect event for him, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
just like all the other perfect events for him where he misses the cut.
Something else.
Yep.
You and Cam did a good show.
Thank you.
A fun one.
Do you have any horse noises for us?
I don't. I can't bring that. Although if I tried, it'd probably be funny because it'd be bad. But what is sort of humorous to me is like the comments that like I'll get or that'll come in. People just don't seem to realize. For starters, me and Cam go so far. Like Cam was at my wedding. Cam was at my bachelor party. Cam, like
Your first job was with Cam.
Yes, Cam was like all my like it's not like we did it up big. We just went to Niagara Falls, which can be greasy. I think it's still the greatest rip joint on the planet, the Sundowner. But Cam, me and my buddies, we're going big time at the Howard Johnson, or as Cam would call the Hojo. And him and Haynes.
Oh, Geoff, we're going to the Hojo.
No, he couldn't go to the Hojo because him and like Hainzer needed some like $12 place called like the Scottish Inn.
Okay.
A bit off the beaten path. But I go way back with Cam. But in the context of this show, I guess like, it was just changing Aunt Viv's. But I was the first Aunt Vivian.
Yeah.
That's all.
You were just not allowed to be on the show for a year.
Yeah. And that brought Cam into the vortex, who's the best.
Yeah, Cam rules. That's why I bring him back. 'Cause I love Cam. It's a different show, though. Like I said.
I don't own a horse.
And you don't do sound effects.
I don't know where we were, but I was almost done.
Quick picks for the week. Tiger, 40. Griot and Cantlay, 66 and 75. I think I got that reverse order, but those two. Zach Johnson, 80. Luke List, 80. Hadwin, 110. C. 100. Martin Keimer, 200. The Boz, Dominic Buzzelli, 750 to 1 is a very mini play as an each way on an outright, but expect him to be in the first round leader market. Fat Tower will definitely be in the first round leader market. I'm very upset David Hearn isn't here because he and Fat Tower both cashed a big. They split a 4-way first round leader bet for me a few years ago here. Always someone to watch out for. Just for one round, maybe he can get hot. He did it Riviera earlier. I'm thinking about adding Bill Haas to that list. You know what? I am going to add Bill Haas, 200 to 1 with the each way. All those bets are with each ways, by the way. And again, I will conclude by saying this has been an awful tournament for me since I hit Martin Keimer. Biggest loser every year.
I'm almost ready. Like on the precipice of almost having a completed card.
Yeah, but I haven't got anyone at the top.
Well, that's sort of where
I'm leaning Justin Thomas, but I think you may have sold me on Stenson.
So
and Rahm is in that
Thomas
mix
is
too.
gonna win,
I need to really crack down to figure out which one of those guys I want.
As I'm about to say, Tiger, Kisner, Griot, Cantlay are in. RCB at the 100, Hadwin at the 100, and even List at the 80 seem like a sprinkle. But Rahm or Stenson are getting added to the top. And if there's anyone else that is being thought about in the middle, it's that Fleetwood Norin shit I can't escape. But I don't know. Maybe it's time to just get off. But I stare at both of them. I stare at the numbers. I know what I think of both of them.
Did I say Zach Johnson? Because I bet him too at 80.
You probably did.
And I was thinking about Jimmy Walker. He was the other one.
Oh, yeah.
But again, a lot of shots down the board.
Well, right now you have a start at 40. But Rahm and Stenson. Rahm.
You still have a few days to think about this. You don't need to make the choice right now.
And I hope I can quit Norin or Fleetwood.
One and done. You won last week because you took Bryson DeChambeau.
Gentil.
So who are you taking this week? Tiger? Please take Tiger so I don't have to.
I've used them in the big one and done, Tiger.
Yeah, but we're on
I know.
We're on the show one and done.
And I got to make some moves. Some moves.
Do you think Tiger will be popular in the one?
I'll go Stenson.
You'll go with Stenson? Do you think Tiger will be popular in the one and done this week? Because I'm going to use Tiger right now on the show as my one and done. But I don't know if I can use him in the one and done in the big. If I was in like first place, I would. But I can't go with the group here. I think he's going to be the most popular guy.
Why?
What? Why do I think he's going to be the most popular? Everyone's already talking about betting him. If this is a week where people are so confident they're going to bet on Tiger Woods, they'll use him in the one and done. Especially at the Players where you get such a huge payday if you win. I think in the big one and done.
Like, who is the forgotten elite? Is it Dustin?
I
Can
think
you even call any of these guys?
I
sort of like this.
I have Justin Thomas left, and I know most people don't.
I probably have him left too.
So I think that's where
I'm
lead could
doing-
be. I might use Rory.
Yeah. I'm doing really shitty in the big one and done. I tried to be like too off the beaten path off the start, but I'll
Well,
tell you what, segment.
Producer
Hold on,
Paul
though.
Shaughnessy is currently in 22nd place. And you know what his strategy is? Take good guys.
Yeah, I know.
Tends to work.
But guess what? That third segment, I'll be firing super elites.
Well, you think how many tournaments are left? Like 18?
I know, but when are we in the third segment? Because I don't want to burn us. Because I feel winning it all is like done.
Yeah.
So why should I burn a super elite before the third seg? If you're at the bottom,
Sure. I think that makes sense because it is segmented. The Players is also a part of another
it's big
season-long
cash,
one
but it's
with the Masters,
Oh,
Players,
yeah,
U.S.
yeah,
Open,
yeah.
and the majors.
Good point. Yeah, that's a separate little pot.
But-
and the players' pot is so big, you hit a winner here,
You're good.
you will skyrocket up. So that's a good point. I said Stenson, that run of good events and good finishes, and just he's the 3-wood king.
I think that advantage might be taken out of his hands here this week.
Oh, because when everyone uses
Yeah,
it,
everyone's
it's
using a
like-
3-wood this week.
It's true. We can't give other guys the respect of the 3-wood because they only hit it when they have to, trying to hit greens in 2 on par 5s.
Yes.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Do you worry about Spieth? I think Spieth
Of
makes...
course. We didn't even talk about
Spieth
him.
has missed the cut here the last 3 years. I don't know what's going on with him here. He came second in his debut performance. Miscut.
I know it means nothing, but I still giggle about his last hole with Palmer at the team event on Friday, where they double jarred it. Or double hazard. An alternate shot, yeah.
Always fun. Anyway, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Follow Jeff on Twitter at gfienberg17. Follow me at the PME. Find the finalized betting cheat sheet up on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme. Twitter PME, Instagram PME. Subscribe to the PME, the Pat Mayo Experience, on iTunes, on Stitcher, whatever it is. Just subscribe to it, download it. You don't even need to listen. Just download it. Do me a solid on that front. And the video version, give a like. And don't forget, this is the last week. If you're a weekly member and you're thinking about getting in to fantasynational.com to become a member. If you're already a weekly member, that $7 rate's going to still apply to you. But $10 starting next week for a weekly membership, the monthly and yearly, will not be affected by that. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck at the Players' Championship, or the Players' Championship. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!